Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, bringing information to enhance one's quality of life. And we are sponsored by Advanced Audiology in-Home Care. Barbara is ill today. She's lost her voice, and I'm looking all over the place for it. Once she gets it back, she'll be on the show. I'm sure she's at home listening, so look real hard for that voice, Barbara. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully all of you had a happy Thanksgiving. It was sure busy around our place. And, you know, I noticed in our community that there were several groups of people eating Thanksgiving turkey. And I was just so proud of Santa Clarita and the people here as I went and picked up some of our seniors on Thanksgiving Day morning. I noticed close to where we are right now here in Newhall, at the Newhall Library, the parking lot was filled with chairs and people eating. But I also noticed up Ray Road, some of you might know that there is an area where people wait and look for jobs, and they get picked up by individuals to help out around homes and things like that. Well, as I drove by there also, there were chairs and tables and people serving them food as well on Thanksgiving Day. And I don't know what group that was, if they were an extension of the people at Newhall Library or not, but I will tell you that just fills your heart and makes, it has to make you feel real good about the community that we live in. So kudos to all those people who are out there celebrating Thanksgiving, not just when they're within their families, but within the family of Santa Clarita. Today we have on our show Wally Schilling, who's a retired Burbank police officer who will be talking about fraud. And later on the show, we will be having Nola Aronson, who is our local audiologist. So if you can't hear me real well, then maybe you should listen to the show later today, because she'll give you some clues as to how to improve your quality of life. Well, Wally, welcome to the show. You're here today to talk about fraud and fraud against our seniors. And, I noticed today, even in our local newspaper, that there's been a fraud being committed against our Santa Clarita seniors in phone calls as well about jury duty, and they want you to send in a money order because they're going to come and arrest you if you don't. So these are threats that I think our seniors will take seriously, but you have seen the whole gamut of things that go on, not only in this community, but all over.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big problem because seniors are a lot more vulnerable.
Yeah. They believe in the system. They believe in the people who are out there, that they're honest. And then they get a phone call from someone saying, your grandson is in jail and we need bail, or you've won the lottery and things like that. What kind of things go on out there that our seniors should be aware of?
Well, first of all, I'll make it very clear to all seniors, you can't win the lottery in another country. So if somebody's called you, or they've emailed you, or they've sent you a letter and said that you've won the lottery, I'm sorry to tell you, you can't win the lottery in any other country.
Yeah.
You aren't a citizen of that country. You can't win. So don't send your money. You also know that if you did win a lottery, I can guarantee you that government, which be ours, they'll take their money first. So if you do win the United States lotteries, they'll take their money in advance. You don't pay them, they pay you. That's the key thing to remember. Don't send money to anybody.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you might send them a little and they send you a lot back, and then all of a sudden you need more. I mean, there are things that are going out there constantly that our seniors, not being gullible, but just not being aware, that are taken in by.
Right.
Now, is that a personality thing, Wally, do you think, with some of these individuals? Because here they're being offered something. It's predicated on you're getting something, and you're not giving anything. And, is that a sense of a personality thing with greed, or is it opportunity, or what is it that entices? They're enticing, but our seniors are listening and get pulled into that.
I think the biggest issue for the seniors is their way of life. Mm-hmm. They're living on Social Security. Most of them are living on fixed incomes. they're not working, and they would like other things in their lives that they can't afford.
Or give to their kids or their grandkids, leave
Right.
something behind.
Right.
And they have an opportunity to do that. So, yeah, I don't know if greed is a strong word, but, they've all taught us, our seniors have taught us, that you don't get anything if you haven't put something into it. And, that applies mostly to our work ethic, I think. But it's just surprising that, people get pulled into things like that.
Right.
So the lottery is a big deal. You get a phone call, you've won, and you really haven't. What other things do they try to scam you on? Because they're trying to get money from you, Social Securities, credit card numbers, and things like that, aren't they?
Yeah, that's called phishing. They're phishing for information. The latest thing in the LA County has been power. The power company calls you and says, if you don't pay me $1,500 by the end of business today, we're going to cut your power off.
That's right. I heard about that.
That's absolutely not true. They will not call you. They will not solicit anything from any person. So if you get a call and says that they're going to cut your power off, that's not a true statement. But if you don't believe that, call the power company directly.
That's right.
And they will reiterate that that's not a true statement, and that's a scam.
So it's predicated on sometimes fear.
Sometimes it's fear.
Oh, I'm getting money, but sometimes it's fear as well.
Fear and intimidation.
Wow. So how do we, when you get that phone call, do you try to go along with the scam and get the information so you can report them, or do you just hang up? Or how should our seniors handle these type of problems when they realize right in the beginning it's a scam?
In most cases, when it's a phone thing, that's going to be hard to follow. It's going to be difficult to follow. I wouldn't want a senior to say, okay, I'm going to give you money. Where do I send it to? I would rather them just hang up.
Yeah.
Because any information that they're very elusive. They will pry information out of you.
Right.
And the less time that they're spent on that phone dealing with that individual is the less chances of them become victims of a crime.
So Wally, if somebody called you up though, because you're an expert, or me, if they called us up, I just don't want, if I know they're scamming me, but I also know that they're going to scam the next person, I'm going to see what I can get. Because, I know that they don't want to be tracked, and they have ways of not being tracked.
Right.
But, are there ways to act so that they think you're vulnerable and you can get through the territory of finding out who they are?
The unfortunate part, yes, there is. Some of them following IP addresses when it's the internet. The problem is most of these particular scams are occurring out of the country. And
you mean the phone call is actually coming from out of the country?
Yes.
So people who have caller ID, does it say out of country? It says
it'll say a local number because they piggyback on a local number within the area to get the information.
Okay, so it really isn't safe.
No.
If you have caller ID to say, oh, it's a local number, therefore it's not out of the country, it's not going to be a scam. And you look at that local number and say, this must be legitimate. But that's to assume that you're making a mistake.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, they mask it.
So let's talk a little bit about the caregivers, the kids of seniors and caregivers and people who surround our seniors. They're seeing something starting to happen. They're going, where is this check going to? Or why did you get this money order, Grandma?
Right.
How should they be alerted for these things that are going on to protect their loved one?
Los Angeles County has an elder abuse hotline, and they can notify the elder abuse hotline of this crime, and they'll investigate it.
Do you have that number on you?
I don't. It's on the LA County website, the Los Angeles County Elder Abuse website for LA.
So it's pretty hard to this is considered elder abuse.
Correct.
When you are doing something like this. But the big problem is our seniors are constantly inundated, not just through the phone, but also in the mail.
Right.
Of things that could be fraudulent. And yeah, I think today, even not in our local paper, but in the Los Angeles Times, there was an article about the cars, the companies that take cars in, and they have these tunes on the radio, but you donate your car and you get maybe a tax write-off. But those charities are extracting out for salaries and retirements and bonuses to their administrators, like 90%.
Right.
So that's in the news today. So these are people that advertise. I don't think I've heard it on this station, but on radio stations and television all the time. So we're constantly the door is being knocked on, literally, for people who are trying to scam you out of your money. And this probably is because of the season is a perfect time, because we are a little bit more, it's more joyous, we're more giving, like the people who set up the tables on Ray Road for those who are looking for jobs. We're giving a lot.
Right.
And it's I think an opportunity, unfortunately, to go after those who are vulnerable. So how about those, you get it in the mail, you get phone calls, how about knocking on the door?
That occurs all the time. We have people saying, I'm a charity and I'd like you to give money to them.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people the best thing for you to do is just gather the information,
Mm-hmm.
don't give them anything, and verify it. Don't give money to something you haven't verified, because you don't know where that money's going.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what percentage of that money is going to the people who need it.
Now, if you happen to find that your grandmother wrote a check, somebody came to the door and wrote a check to someone, or sent a check in, can we trace that back to the perpetrator at all? Is that possible? Or does that, as a police officer, you follow leads and you're investigating, and do sometimes, even with a personal check, you can't trace that?
You can. They're traceable.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what the level of the crime is, how much money was given. It's based on the dollar amount, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony.
Right. Well, that's the charge. So,
Right.
But aren't you also afraid that somebody gets a check, Wally, and they I think it's called washing.
Whitewashing, yes.
Whitewashing, and they can take keep the signature on and change the name, the payable name, to something else, and then change the amount from $5 to $500. They can do those kind of things even in a check.
Well, the good thing is today we have a great deal of electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And with the electronics comes your abilities to check your bank accounts every day.
Right, but our seniors, they're not doing that.
They-
They're waiting for that monthly statement,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they're conned. They realize it.
But even if that occurred, they can still go to their bank, and they can report that as fraud,
Mm-hmm.
and the bank has a duty to investigate it before they keep their money.
So
They do a fraud report.
So let's look at the impact of where our seniors can be hit for their information. First of all, we worry about them writing a money order or a check. But also the scam comes when you give your Social Security number and they're asking for that. Oh, we need this because we're your Medicare, and we need your Social Security number to be able to verify that you're going to get this equipment. Doesn't that, and also credit card numbers, Social Security numbers, aren't these all out there in jeopardy?
They are. And for people that are getting medical equipment, first off, they've already filled out the information through the Medicare
Mm-hmm.
or Medi-Cal, and they already know the information.
Mm-hmm.
So the information they're asking for it would be illegally obtaining it if they're getting it over the phone, because they already have it. That's how come you got the authority to order it.
But this is the sorrowful story. Medi-Cal, we're not organized, our computer is down, and you hear all these sorrowful things that we hear about in the news, how bad sometimes government is. But they're sometimes fishing for this kind of information, and they give you that sympathy story, and you cannot, and our listeners should be hearing what Wally and I are saying. Don't give your Social Security number out. Don't give credit card numbers out. And what else? What else? Is there anything else that they shouldn't give out in terms of birth date?
They ask your birth date. They ask your birth certificate. Another one that a lot of people will try and gather information about your family.
Oh, yeah.
Because you may have keywords that you use, like your mother's maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are things that could be used against you to gather your credit information and use it.
And they kind of sucker you in a little bit, don't they? Because,
yes.
If you've lost your loved one and there's an obituary notice, then a lot of that information is in there, like sisters and brothers and or grandchildren's names are in there. And you say, oh, I'm a friend of Donnie and he's locked up in prison here in Tijuana, and we need to meet bail of $5,000, but we need it immediately because we certainly don't want him in jail right now.
Right.
I mean, they gather information that way too.
Right.
Wow.
And that's the family member who needs bail money. The important thing for that is don't give money to anybody if you didn't verify it. Call the family members, because the criminals aren't going to have the phone numbers to your daughter-in-law.
That's right.
Or your brother-in-law or your cousin on your mom's side. They're not going to have that information. They're going to have a name.
Yeah.
So call those people. Verify it with your own family members. And if they really, truly needed it, those would be the people who would call for that money.
That's right, absolutely. But see, this is the sympathy con that I think is out there, and it's more seasonable right now. I mean, it will happen at all times of the year. But this is a time of year where I think our guard is down a little bit, isn't it?
Right, because of your heart. Your heart's in the right spot.
Yeah.
It puts you at a vulnerable position.
And we have to remind our listeners our hearts might be in the right spot, but our brains have to be working and making sure that where things aren't happening, because this is the day and age where, for some reason, the talents of life that people could give to our society are being used in a illegal way. And it's a shame that happens, because think about this, Wally, if all of us were doctors or police officers and did the right thing, how much better our society is. But there are just some people that sit out there and say, well, yeah, I'm pretty smart and I got talent and I can act on the phone and everywhere else, but I'm going to use that for something bad and con people. And it's a shame. Isn't it?
It is. It's very difficult to get people to understand that the people that are taking the money from you, their only reason for taking it is they want to scam it from you. They're not your friend. Mm-hmm. They're not your family members. They're not your pal. They're not your confidant. They're a thief.
They're a thief. And we have to be reminded of that. And that's sad, because there's so many people out there. And, I think we have to kind of filter through all these things in society that are there to recognize what is good and what is bad. But this makes that hurdle harder for us to be able to do, doesn't it?
Right. And it's been around a long time.
It's been around for a long time. Yeah, that's a shame. Well, Wally Schilling, thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
A former police officer with Burbank, investigating fraud, helping us today give at least a different look into what might be happening, not just here in Santa Clarita, but all over. Appreciate your time for being here today.
My pleasure.
We're going to take a break right now. This is Dr. Gene Dorio on the Senior Hour on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.